Well, hi there, food friends. It's Kevin.
Hey, food friends, I'm Ralph, behind the camera.
And welcome to Cavalcade of Food. And Ralph, today we're going to take a look at refrigerators.
Food holder.
And we've had a lot of requests from people saying, you know, you show your stoves, but you never show your refrigerators. And I don't have that many refrigerators, honestly. So I don't make a big deal out of them. But I do have a few. So I thought, okay, let's share with folks what is in the collection.
And he knows his refrigerators.
Well, like I said, I don't really, I made a decision a long time ago that I wanted to really focus on electric ranges. But, you know, when you have a vintage kitchen, it's nice to have a refrigerator, a vintage refrigerator and stove.
Okay.
So, let's start with the one that is in the kitchen studio here and has been for a long time. This is a 1949 General Electric. And it has really a great fridge. And I have one of these at home in my basement as well. And I gotta tell you, these are good refrigerators.
It's a good workhorse.
Yes, it is. We'll take a look at the inside.
It may not be the biggest, by today's standards, but it's very solid, well built.
It is. It's got wire shelves, and you've got in this one, I have the vegetable drawer at the bottom. Nothing on the door, so there's no shelving here. Crosley had the patent on that. They had the Shelvador, and they were known for having a refrigerator that was designed with storage on the door. The GE didn't have that. This is the freezer. When the kids come for the field trip and they see the freezer, they absolutely die. They can't believe how small it is. But, here's ice cube trays. And really, that's it. There's not a whole lot of room in there. Very common, though, with these older refrigerators, you'll find that the meat storage is always under the freezer compartment.
Oh, that makes sense.
Since that was a real cold area in the refrigerator.
And really, back in the 40s, they probably didn't have a lot of frozen food, so that's why the freezers were so small.
It's true. I mean, not nearly what we have today. And frozen foods just weren't really as popular. And two, they were starting to sell a lot of what they call the chest freezers or the deep freeze, because your regular refrigerator freezer was not that big, but frozen foods was not that prominent. You had, of course, ice cream, and Bird's Eye was one of the early companies that really marketed what they call frosted foods or frozen foods.
And that was a real person. I always thought Birdseye was a funny name.
No, Clarence Birdseye was a real guy. I do have a modern fridge here, but everybody knows what those look like. Here's one, Ralph, that's sort of interesting. This is a Westinghouse. Pretty sure it's a 53 or 54. This is one of the real early frost-free refrigerators that were available in the market. I don't have it plugged in right now, so that's why the door is open. When it's plugged in, it has an electronic door release. You'll see there's no handle here. You simply press this button in, and you hear this clunk, and it releases the mechanism so that you can open the door. But here's the inside of this Westinghouse frost-free.
Wow.
And I have to tell you that a frost-free refrigerator was kind of a big deal.
Yeah, explain how that works.
Because, like the GE we just saw, what would happen is when you would open the door to take food out, air would go in, and the humidity of the air would start to freeze and collect around the freezer box. And every so often, you had to defrost the refrigerator. And I know a lot of our food friends know exactly what that was like. they made little heaters and stuff. I've got some. We'll show our food friends that you could use to help aid in defrosting it, or you'd put a pan of hot water under it and melt that ice that had collected around the freezer box.
And you can see, like, in just a few years difference, how much bigger the freezer area is getting. Just
yes. This is about 5 years newer
After.
than the GE, and you can see this was a huge freezer.
By those standards.
By the standards of the time. And it was, again, they made a big deal, frost-free.
And look what's there.
Up here you had a little butter keeper.
Oh, look at that.
So in this compartment here, you'd put your butter dish.
Keep it cool.
And it would keep the butter at a temperature so that it wasn't too hard or too soft, but spreadable. And you could adjust it. You could adjust your butter temperature. But the key to the frost-free is this metal button that you see right here, Ralph.
Yep.
When you close this door, that metal button comes in contact with this white button and actually presses it in like that. And every time this goes in, there's a counter on the back side of it. And every 50 times that you open or you close the door, and every 50 times that this goes in, it starts a heater that's wrapped around the refrigerator and melts the frost.
The accumulation.
The accumulation. It goes into this tray right here. It drips down here into this tray, and then there's a hose at the back, a drain, and it goes down. You can't see it from in here, but on the back it goes down, and then there's an evaporator pan at the very bottom, and the water just evaporates.
Wow, that's
that
like
was
magic.
the frost-free mechanism that the Westinghouse engineers came up with. And you think, oh my gosh, that's just bizarre. But you know what? At the time, it was big technology.
Well, it's brilliant because every 50 times it
Yep.
triggers the heat coil to defrost automatically.
They figured that about every 50 opens and closes would have let in enough humidity into the refrigerator that there would be an accumulation of frost that would need to be melted away before it started really building up. So essentially you never got a big frost buildup in this refrigerator if it was operating the way it was supposed to. Again, you have the meat keeper here under the freezer. You've got what they call humididrawers down below. These were for fruits and vegetables. You've got your shelves. Here in the door, I'm missing a couple of these. Anybody knows where I can find some? I need 2 more.
Oh, those for eggs?
These are for eggs. There would be 4 of them. There'd be another set.
So
that
2
would go up
dozen?
here. Yep. And then you had here some storage for bottles and such. This says snacks, cheese, again storage, and then down here it says fruit. And there you go. Really good looking refrigerator. You could also get them with a traditional pull handle.
Westinghouse was pretty cool.
Westinghouse was the bomb. They really had probably some of the best technology at the time. They had a lot of engineers because they made so many different things.
So you know how the General Electric was all white?
Yes.
This one seems like they're starting to introduce colors. Am I right?
Well, in terms of the blue on the inside,
but
yeah.
they're not going crazy. But it's like a light, subtle blue.
Well, and blue also makes you feel
Cool.
cool. Exactly.
But I'm saying they didn't have those colors. They're always white. These big appliances, these big refrigerators.
Well, it was basically they were all white inside, and then they would have steel shelves.
But this is what I'm saying.
Right.
By 53 or 4, when this Westinghouse came around, they started to introduce these colors.
They did, and 2 because you also had plastics. You had the as the
technology
as the
and
technology of manufacturing plastics got more sophisticated, and then plastics allowed now for an
Colors.
easy way to add color into things. So
What's next on the tour?
well, this is actually from the 70s. This is also a Westinghouse. This is a freezer. This is just, and look how, remember we were talking about blue is cold, right?
Yeah.
So it's got a blue insert in the door panel. This is just a big upright freezer.
Wow.
I don't have it on right now because I don't need it, but during the summertime I often will have it on because I have it filled with bags of ice and ice cream and other frozen things that we use a lot during the summertime months. But this is a big upright freezer. Now over here, this is a Norge never defrost. Okay, although it's not quite frost free, really. It says product of Borg Warner. Borg Warner is a company still here in Southeast Michigan. They make transmissions and a bunch of other auto parts. But at one point, Norge was their appliance division, which they owned for a long time. And this, I think, and our friend Hans will know, Hans, this I think is a 61 or a 62, but you can let me know if I'm wrong on that date. But it is where before you had the freezers were inside of the refrigerator, now we have a separate door just for the freezer. I've got to put the seal is bad. I got to put a new seal around the doors here. But the refrigerator is still working. Here's a ice bucket. But again, a fairly large freezer for its time. And shelves. And again with the blue. And look, it's got the little starbursts here on
Those are snowflakes.
Snowflakes. Thank you, Ralph. Yes, they do look like snowflakes. And you've got an egg. Isn't it funny how now we just keep the eggs in the cartons, but here you have a space for eggs.
Well, they ate a lot of eggs back then.
Here you have, this says Dairy Keeper. Look at that. There you go. Okay, for your butter and cheese and things. And then you have all this storage here on the door, a couple of crispers down there, and that is your Norge with a
upright.
And with a kind of we would call a combination. It's got its own
freezer on
freezer
top,
door,
fridge at the bottom.
Over here, we're going to go back to the 50s, the early 50s, with our little Kelvinator here. And I just think this is a great looking, could use a paint job, but a great looking refrigerator. And here's our inside. Now here you've got, again, just like we had with that GE, here's your, look at this freezer.
Cool.
Not that big. Certainly not frost free, but you've got a couple of ice trays here for ice cubes. And then you've got this little pan down here, which you could use for when you were defrosting, but you could also put meat in there.
Oh, okay.
To keep it. And a couple of crispers. This one down here, Ralph, look at this, had a bin. You could put potatoes and onions and things like that. It didn't really get cold per se, but it was a cool spot, okay, for storage.
But look at the design, just the K and
yeah, and look at all this. Look at this
style.
Trim. Yeah,
it's
beautiful,
like textured metal.
Mm-hmm.
And again, slightly bluish colors.
Yep. And there's your controller is blue, where you would set the
freezer.
Yeah, or the temperature for the refrigerator.
Oh, the whole thing. But look at this
Kelvinator.
Yeah, the nameplate of it.
Yeah, and it kind of has this waterfall design. Yeah, I always thought this was a real handsome looking refrigerator. And look at this cute little guy. Now this is an older Westinghouse. Again, this would be probably maybe a 49 or a 50. And pretty small inside. You've got a little freezer here. Again, just enough for a couple of ice trays and a few other things.
The fonts of the lettering even give it away. It's like, that tells you the period. It
Yes.
definitely looks 40s.
Doesn't it? Yeah, it really does. And And you've got the wire shelves. Again, nothing on the door. Humidor. And
They'll come up with their own
yeah,
language.
it's a really cute little refrigerator. Westinghouse. And then lastly, I've got a Frigidaire here. This is, I believe, one of the Raymond Loewy design models, made only by General Motors, Frigidaire. And it opens like so. And again, you have your little freezer compartment. Go ahead and open it, Ralph. There it is. And then you've got your, down here, meat tender, it's called, that drawer under the freezer.
Look at this layered design, how the shelves are kind of
There.
different sizes.
And here, these brackets are so that you could adjust the shelf.
Oh, okay.
It probably had one more shelf in it, and it probably had a couple of drawers at the bottom, which I don't have.
Yeah, it does look like drawers would be there.
You know, over the years, sometimes those things just, for whatever reason, went missing. But it was a part of it. But it's really a beautiful refrigerator. I love the design of it. Chrome trim. It's kind of got the circle there in the center of the clasp.
After 70 years or so, you might lose a thing or two.
Let me show you one last thing that's refrigerator related, but not an actual refrigerator. So, I don't know if you can even get back here, Ralph. Come back behind my desk. And I don't know if you can get back enough to see this. Well, first of all, this was a gift from my dear friends Richard and Lisa. But this is a display that went with, I think, a 38 General Electric ice refrigerator. And they were boasting about, you know, all the ice you'll want in a hurry. And the fact that it had this ice cube tray, which was like, what? We can have ice cubes at home? That's just crazy talk.
Yeah.
It shows you what a big deal it was. Some of these displays were motorized, and this thing would go back and forth, and these ice cubes would turn around. Mine is not, but still, it's just so cool. Here's your champagne bottle. But new, quick tray, instant ice cube release, 2 cubes or 20 from the new GE Triple Thrift refrigerator. Thrifty in price, thrifty in current, thrifty in upkeep. Now, who wouldn't want one of those?
So you would see this in a window display.
This would be next to the refrigerator,
right?
In a window display, on a platform, in a department store, or in an appliance store. Yeah, so kind of cool that it survived. But I don't have room for it. It really should be with the refrigerators, but I don't have room for it over there. And one of these days, I'm going to actually find the refrigerator that goes with this display, because that would be really fun to be able to put those two together again.
Absolutely.
So, anyways, that is our refrigerator display. And those are the refrigerators that we have here. And at some point, I'll probably take out the GE that's in the kitchen studio and replace it with one of these. As heavy as the stoves are, these are even heavier. But we'll get to it one of these days. And like I said, I don't have a lot of refrigerators, but I have a little representation of some different ones,
and a lot of fun
which
ones.
Are fun.
Yeah. Better to have a few fun, good ones than too many crazy ones that you don't
So that's
need.
the refrigerator collection.
You couldn't
and-
collect stamps or something smaller?
right? Yeah, I know, thimbles or shot glasses or something, but
Salt and pepper shakers.
well, I do collect those,
Oh,
but
yeah.
that's a whole nother story. Anyways, so we'll thank our friends for spending some time with us. I hope you enjoyed, especially for those of you who have asked over the years, a closer look at the refrigerators here. And
We sure do have fun when you're with us.
we sure do. And we appreciate you watching. Don't forget the website is cavalcadeoffood.com.
And don't forget to tell folks about it, share, subscribe, and like.
And we will look forward to seeing you again real soon, right back here on Cavalcade of Food. Bye, everybody.
Adios.